What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Today let's talk about the intricate and unsettling, for some individuals, dynamics on the ongoing purge within Russia's military hierarchy. A purge that continues to unfold with alarming regularity. This is more than just a series of arrests. It represents a significant reshaping of power, one that echoes the darkest periods of Russian history. As we explore the motives and consequences behind these actions, we aim to uncover the underlying strategies that drive this relentless shakedown. Through a detailed examination, we will navigate the complex web of fear, power, and repression that defines the current state of Russian leadership. Let's begin by talking about the most recent arrest and how this affects those still in power. For now. Just yesterday, the Russian authorities made another high-profile move by arresting Army General Pavel Popov, a former deputy defense minister. This is not an isolated incident, but the latest in a series of arrests targeting some of the most influential figures within the Ministry of Defense. Popov's arrest, tied to accusations of embezzlement related to the Patriot Park construction near Moscow, marks him as the third deputy defense minister to be taken into custody within a remarkably short period. And just think about it. Russian general stealing money from a park in Moscow called Patriot. How poetic is this? This series of arrests cannot simply be dismissed as routine anti-corruption efforts. The frequency and consistency of these detentions suggest a broader, more deliberate strategy at play. We're witnessing a systematic dismantling of a specific faction within the Russian military, a move that follows huge similarities to the purges of the Stalin era. The significance of these actions lies not just in the removal of these individuals from power, but in the message it sends to the entire military and political establishment. No one, regardless of their rank or connections, is safe from scrutiny and retribution. This purge raises critical questions about the atmosphere within the Russian leadership. What goes through the minds of those who remain in power as they watch their colleagues, one by one, being led away in handcuffs? The rapid succession of arrests, occurring just within 3 months, forces us to consider the unstable position of those still holding office. Do they recognize the danger that surrounds them, or are they so deeply entrenched in their roles that they believe they are untouchable? The current climate suggests a growing realization that the safety net they once believed in may no longer exist. One of the most perplexing aspects of this ongoing purge is the apparent passivity of those who are clearly in the crosshairs of the regime. Despite the visible and well-publicized pattern of arrests, there seems to be little effort among these high-ranking officials to escape or protect themselves. This raises a fundamental question: why are these people, who have access to considerable resources and networks, not taking proactive measures to avoid their seemingly inevitable fate? This situation brings to mind the case of Grigory Rodchenkov, the former head of Russia's state-sponsored doping program, who fled the country when his colleagues started dying under suspicious circumstances, related mostly to heart diseases. Unlike the current military officials, Rodchenkov recognized the danger and acted swiftly, securing asylum in the United States, where he now lives under witness protection. It may even seem like that the further you are from the Russian border, the stronger your cardiovascular system becomes. His story highlights a sharp contrast between his actions and the inaction of the Russian military officials, who remain in their positions seemingly resigned to whatever may come. There are two plausible explanations for this puzzling inertia. The first is that these officials are so deeply attached to their positions, wealth, and the status that the idea of relinquishing them is more terrifying than the prospect of imprisonment. The luxurious lifestyles they lead, the power they wield, and the opulence they enjoy created a golden cage, trapping them in a state of denial about the dangers they face. The fear of losing everything they have worked for outweighs the very real threat of arrest and incarceration. The second explanation lies in the pervasive atmosphere of fear and intimidation that the Russian leadership has cultivated. The sheer ruthlessness of the regime's repression has created a state of paralysis among those in power. Much like prey frozen in the face of a predator, these officials are immobilized by the terror that grips the entire leadership structure. The more brutal the oppression, the more they seem to believe that there is no escape, no safe haven where they can find refuge. This climate of fear ensures compliance, even when survival might depend on fleeing. To fully grasp the ongoing purge within Russia's defense ministry, it is essential to understand the strategic and operational mechanics that underpin these actions. This is not merely a routine change in personnel following the dismissal of Sergei Shoigu, the former Minister of Defense. Rather, it represents a calculated effort to reconfigure power within one of the most critical arms of the Russian government. When a new leadership takes over, particularly in a ministry as powerful as defense, the transition is rarely smooth or immediate. The process involves dismantling existing networks of influence, rerouting financial flows, and neutralizing any potential threats possessed by those loyal to the previous regime. This is why the purge is unfolding in a phased manner, with arrests occurring one after another. It is a methodical approach designed to minimize disruption while ensuring the complete overhaul of the ministry's power structure. But beyond the logistics of replacing one set of leaders with another, there is a deeper, more fundamental reason for these purges: the maintenance of control through fear and uncertainty. In the Russian political system, stability is maintained not through trust or loyalty, but through a carefully orchestrated atmosphere of unpredictability and fear. By making examples of high-ranking officials, the regime sends a clear message that no one is beyond reach, no matter how powerful or well-connected they may be. This strategy is not limited to the defense ministry. It is a tactic employed across the entire government, ensuring that everyone from the highest-ranking cabinet members to some local officials remains in a constant state of vigilance. The fear of arbitrary arrest or wars keeps potential targets in check, preventing any serious challenges to regime's authority. However, this approach also creates an environment of deep-seated paranoia, where even the most loyal servants of the state must constantly look over their shoulders. The implications of this ongoing purge extend far beyond the immediate consequences for those directly involved. What we are witnessing is a significant shift in the way the Russian government operates, with far-reaching consequences for the future of the country's leadership and its obviously relationship with the rest of the world. The systematic removal of high-ranking officials serves not only to consolidate power within a smaller, more tightly controlled circle, but also to eliminate any potential rivals or threats to the regime. This creates a highly centralized and rigid power structure, where decisions are made by an increasingly narrow group of individuals, all of whom are acutely aware of the consequences of falling out of favor. In such an environment, the potential for innovation or independent thought is stifled, as everyone is more concerned with the survival than the governance. Moreover, the purge has significant implications for Russia's military capabilities. The removal of experienced and knowledgeable leaders at a time of ongoing military conflict raises questions about the long-term effectiveness of the Russian armed forces. As new, less experienced officials are brought in to replace those who have been purged, the continuity and cohesion of military operations may be compromised, potentially weakening Russia's strategic position both at home and abroad. On a broader scale, this purge reflects a regime that is increasingly paranoid and insecure, despite its outward displays of strength. The more repressive the government becomes, the more it betrays its underlying fear of losing control. This fear-driven approach to governance is unsustainable in the long term. as the government continues to alienate its own supporters and eliminate potential allies, it risks creating a vacuum of power that could lead to internal instability and possibly even collapse. The international community should pay close attention to these developments, as the internal dynamics of Russia's leadership have significant implications for global security. A Russia that is consumed by internal purges and power struggles is a Russia that is less predictable and potentially more dangerous on the world stage. The instability generated by these actions could have major consequences, not just once again for Russia, but for its neighbors and the international order as a whole. The ongoing purge within Russia's military and political leadership is a clear indicator of the regime's deepening paranoia and its reliance on fear as a tool of control. The arrest of General Pavel Popov and others like him is a part of a broader strategy to consolidate power and eliminate any perceived threats to the current leadership. However, this approach comes at a significant cost, both for the individuals involved and for the stability of the Russian state. As we have explored, the inaction of those targeted by the purge is rooted in a complex mix of fear, attachment to power, and deeply ingrained sense of fatalism. The mechanics of the purge itself reveal a methodical, calculated effort to reshape the power structures within the Russian government, ensuring that no one feels secure or immune from prosecution. As the Russian government becomes more repressive, it also becomes more isolated, both internally and in the world stage. The potential for internal instability grows with each arrest, creating a volatile situation that could have serious consequences for global security. For those still in position of power in Russia, the message is clear: no one is safe. And the purge will continue until the regime feels it has eliminated all potential threats. For the international community, the situation in Russia serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of an unchecked power and the lengths to which a regime will go to maintain its grip on authority. There you have it, guys. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if this was interesting and informative for both. If you wish to support my work, there are PayPal donations, Patreon memberships for bonus content. You can also buy the Russian Dude merch. All the links are down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you on Tuesday.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims are resolve they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.